and great to see you here, and I hope you guys are doing well. So I'm pretty sure that you guys have heard of Apple's ProRaw, and I just downloaded the iOS 14.3 on my phone. It's actually really easy to set it up. All you have to do after you updated your iPhone to iOS 14.3 is to go to Settings, and then go to Camera, under Format, and you'll see Apple ProRaw, and that's where you want to toggle on. Unfortunately, only the iPhone 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max have access to the ProRaw function at this point. Alright, let's head out and take some photos.
If you like that transition, don't forget to hit the like button. Rumor has it it's good for the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, I'm with Jen over here. She's right there stretching because we're going to be taking photos. She's warming up right now. We'll be taking some photos with the new ProRaw iPhone 12 Pro Max. How's the stretch?
It's going good. I'm stretching.
Almost there. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I can touch my toes.
If you're in the Houston area looking for a model, go find Jen. Thanks for coming out. Bye-bye.
Bye, drive safe.
You too. It was really fun taking photos with Apple ProRaw, and I want to share some of my experience with you guys. Also talk about why using Lightroom to edit ProRaw files is not going to show the full potential of ProRaw right now, since I feel like a lot of people are still a bit confused about ProRaw, so I want to try my best to explain it. Okay, let's start with something light, just things that I've noticed while using ProRaw. Apple ProRaw works with all 4 cameras on the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max, as well as in night mode, but you cannot use it in portrait mode. Once you turn on ProRaw in the camera setting, it's not going to be on automatically whenever you access your camera app. Instead, you have to turn it on manually whenever you want to take a raw photo. This actually kind of makes sense because when you turn on the ProRaw in camera setting, it actually tells you that the average file size of a ProRaw photo, it's about like 25 megabytes. And that is going to take up a lot more space than the original JPEG file, which produces around like 3 to 5 megabytes per photo. And at the same time, you probably don't want to edit all of your photo that you're taking on your phone and send it to your friends and family. It was a bit unusual for me because I always shoot in RAW on my camera, so it never occurred to me where I have to turn it on all the time wherever I access to camera. But if you have a specific shot that you want to take and edit, remember to turn on the ProRaw function on top. The next thing you might be wondering about would be how fast is the shutter, since every press of the shutter, it's computing all of these different exposure at the same time. Well, inside the phone, of course. And the answer to that is no, there's no slow down when shooting in ProRaw if you're taking a photo one at a time. However, the shutter will stall after you take about 3 or 4 consecutive shots. While you're taking a few consecutive photos, the camera app looks normal. But if you take a look at the bottom left here, it's still trying to process those ProRaw image. Now you probably guessed it, ProRaw is not supported in burst mode, and that could be a bit limiting if you're using it for sports shots or action shots. That being said, each ProRaw file, it's around 25 megabytes, and some of my photos actually went up to 36 megabytes, so it definitely takes a lot of space. However, if you have the ProRaw turned on in the camera app and press the shutter, drag it to the left like always for burst photos, it'll still take them, but all of them is gonna be in JPEG. The ProRaw photo is noticeably better than the JPEG, HEIC, and the ODNG file that Lightroom use. It contains so much more color and light information in there that we can play around with because it contains all the information from computational photography. Okay, let me explain. So essentially ProRaw, it's like a hybrid that does what the traditional RAW file does, but at the same time, it also has the element of computational photography. Computational photography includes things that our normal camera can't do, such as smart HDR, night mode, and we don't see it in action. It basically sends all this information with multiple exposures of the image and comes up with segmentation. So it can identify the sky and our face, stuff like that. And theoretically, you will have these layers independently. In the past, when you take a photo on your iPhone, the computational fairy will magically make your photo look nice and decent in a JPEG file. Shooting in ProRAW, it's the opposite. You're telling the computational fairy that you want to apply the magic yourself, and you're going to make it more than decent and nice. You are going to make it awesome, or into a banger. At least that's what everyone's calling it with their photos nowadays. Basically, you are going to do all the post-processing and editing after you snap the photo with ProRAW, which will give you more information and data to work with as a RAW file. And people like me who doesn't like decent JPEG files would put it into Lightroom or any of the photo editing software that you use and try to make it into a banger photo. Okay, I'll stop right there. Now, speaking of Lightroom, at the time of me making this video, Lightroom does support DNG file as usual. So naturally, when you import the Apple ProRAW file in Lightroom, it's gonna show as a DNG file. But it doesn't support image segmentation or all these other fancy things that Apple ProRAW files can do. In other words, we won't see how good Apple ProRAW really is with the current version of Lightroom. That's why when you import the Apple ProRAW photo in Lightroom, it's gonna look wrong. It's gonna look different. That's because you're simply editing the regular RAW file, not the computational part of it, which makes it Pro. And as of now, there's no way for us to edit these Apple ProRAW photos in any of the third-party apps. So therefore, you won't be able to see the full potential of Apple ProRAW's photo on these third-party apps yet. So technically, the only app that's compatible with the ProRAW files is Apple's Photos app on your phone with iOS 14.3 or later, or on a Mac with Mac OS Big Sur 11.1 or later. But the good news is Apple is allowing third-party apps to have access to image segmentation in the future, and that is going to truly show how Apple ProRAW is different from the standard RAW file. So if you're using Lightroom to edit your Apple ProRAW photos, you're just editing a 12-bit DNG file, which is not bad at all, but it could be a whole lot more exciting if we can access the true power of ProRAW, and I can't wait to see what's in store. With Dolby Vision for video and the ProRAW for photo on the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max, this is the next level phone. The potential of this is so great, and I can't wait for more third-party apps to have access to the true power of Apple ProRAW. Let me know what you guys think about Apple's ProRAW. I would love to hear your thoughts. And I'm gonna attach an article that goes in depth about Apple's ProRAW, all these kind of stuffs, in the description if you're interested. As usual, if you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, smash it if that's something that you're into. We're almost at the end of 2020. Let's get through it together. By the way, my preset pack is still on sale until the end of the year, so definitely go check them out if you haven't already. Oh, and subscribe on your way there, and ring the bell on your way out, so I can see you guys in the next one.